All right. I mean, I can't talk about Dom without talking about Barbara Sicoranza. I mean, look, Barbara originally, she was going to play Carla Moriarty. I'd known Barbara on and off for a long time, and told her what was going on, and she was like, "Oh, I was in, a couple of different movies in the past, things like that. I know this other guy. I know this guy Dom. I think he'd be fantastic in this role." Originally, Dom was going to play. He was going to play an FBI agent. For the life of me, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's in the original pilot. So Dom came on board to take on the FBI agent role. And once James Lorenz backed out, because he was originally going to play, the character's name was Giovanni Nivola, but when James came on board, because he knew Barbara Sicoranza, we sat down and had a conversation at Barbara's house, and we got talking about, just the past, and New York, and how I started, writing again, and meeting Will Burgess. He was such a huge catalyst in actually helping me get back to writing again, that he was an important part. And I explained that he took his own life in 2016, the end of 2016. And James said, look, he said, well, why don't I change my name to Will Burgess? He goes, that's my name, that's my character's name. And I was like, wow, okay, but then James pulled out. What do? We had a conversation, and I said, well, look, why don't you step into the Will Burgess role, but take back the name of Giovanni Nivola? And I said, then I'll figure out what the heck I'm gonna do. Giovanni Nivola totally suits Dominick Morizio for obvious reasons, the Italian connection, etc., etc. It just makes a lot of sense, right? He is a low-level scientist working basically for Project Stargate, but it's an experimental facility on the edge of Moonbrook Falls. It's hidden out there. It's a front. The front is basically a casket warehouse. Yeah, they produce caskets, but the town is so small that how many do they need to produce? And they're playing around with ESP. They're playing around with drugs that can enhance ESP. There was a lot of that back in the day at Project Stargate back in the 60s, even 50s. And they brought that to an end in the 90s. They would investigate paranormal activity. They would investigate, supernatural happenings, things like that, and also flying saucers, all of that stuff. But he works in this facility. His character worked in this facility, and he, experimenting, and he notices that, some of the patients who are experimented on, they've lost the plot. And he is told that they're shipped off to a government hospital, government-run hospital, where they'll be okay. They'll get the help they need. It's not permanent. It's just like a side effect of the drugs. But some of them are also, unruly and like psychotic, that they're actually killed. They're murdered. And he starts to suspect this.
You see how weak they've become?
I don't feel good.
You've drained them.
But the show must go on.
If it wasn't, Dom knew all these kids. Dom knew all the teens. Dom introduced me to all the teens. It was just like, holy shit. It was not that complicated, And it was like, if you want, I can reach out. And I was like, yeah, reach out. Thank you. I said, because this seems to be where the biggest problem is. It's like finding these teens. And he just can't. It's like one after another. He stepped into that role. And I think he's great. I think they're like, more will be revealed with his character. He just feels a lot of guilt. He was trying to do something good.
I try. to be so careful. I want to save lives, not take them.
And that's what you're going to do right now, save our lives!
It went sideways and has created a whole other set of problems and issues.
So, no heat, no electricity.
Okay, go!
Why are you still here?
Well, my dear, by hook or by crook, this show must go on.